Alright guys, my name is Metagoblin and today we're going to be counting down the top 10 advantages of playing a low populated or medium populated server in classic World of Warcraft. So the appeal of a high populated server is, groups forming very quickly, not struggling to find a group, not struggling to find a guild, having some good PvP action and stuff like that. But in all honesty guys, even if you're playing on a low populated to medium populated server, this isn't going to be a tedious task. To put it in perspective, I've played on a server, an old vanilla server, which had only 300 people on it at its peak time. I didn't struggle to find groups, didn't struggle to find guilds or anything, so I mean fair enough, it is probably faster to get groups and easier to get groups in a higher populated server. I have played on a dwindling populated server called Omega WoW where the population was slowly dropping off and it was getting harder and harder to find groups. But nonetheless, I don't think you're going to struggle with that on any classic WoW retail server because they are going to be populated enough, at least over about 1,000 players, in order for you to, have a decent experience playing World of Warcraft. But anyway, just before we jump in, please do give me a quick follow on Twitch if you want to catch any of my live streams. Let's jump into counting down the advantages of a low populated server. So the first big advantage, mainly for leveling, but can sometimes be useful for endgame because there are a certain amount of quests you have to do at endgame. The simple point is low quest competition. So I've been playing on Bloodfang for a while now, on my priest, probably like a few hours, and it's ridiculously easy to actually get my quests done. I'm not lying around waiting for quest mobs to respawn. I don't have to form about a group with like 20 other people or 5 other people just to kill some mobs. I'm finding it very easy to quest and I'm finding it a very chilled and relaxing experience. I do bump into players now and again. I do group up with people now and again and make friends. That sense of like making friends and community while you're leveling up isn't totally gone. You will bump into people. And yeah, so let's move on to the second point. So my second point is more chests. When you're out on the world, you are basically going to find chests from time to time, and normally if you have the add-on installed and you know precisely where they are, then you normally get there and they're not there, which is really frustrating. But now I'm on a low populated server, I am finding way more chests, and there's a lot of excitement involved with actually finding a chest because it obviously has a high chance of having a green item, which is very useful for your class, even a weapon, which is even more exciting. And I just generally find way more quests, it's way more exciting. And I don't find chests which have been half looted, so that I only loot like moonberry juice or something like that, which is even more frustrating. My third point is there's more nodes, so I'm leveling my herbalism. If you're leveling your mining or something like that, it's going to be ridiculously easy to level your professions. I mean, from the background footage, well, you won't be able to see by the background footage, but maybe at the start of the video you might see this. I can basically see 2 earth roots like close to me, and I'm just chilling here at a quest hub. Like, it's so easy to get your professions done and get them leveled up, and it's much easier, to be honest, to make money. Okay, which should have been a separate point in this video, but like, because everything is so easy to farm, in fact, I should make that a separate point, that it will be much easier to make money. So this is point 4. It would be much easier for you to make money on a low populated server because you'd be able to go to the really high contested grinding points to grind loads of money, and you won't have to use like irritating techniques that involve you going into a dungeon and stuff like that, which are very class restrictive. So if you're a mage and you want to AoE farm, you're probably going to make even more money on a low populated server. My 5th point simply is a lot less ganking. Okay, I haven't been ganked once, I don't think. Fair enough, I've been in the lower level areas, but like in the higher level areas you're probably going to get ganked a lot less because it's just simply just less people, which is going to be, well, obviously a lot less frustrating when you're doing your quest in Stranglethorn Vale particularly, and contested areas like that. It's just going to be a lot less hassle, a lot less corpse running, and a lot less punching your keyboard, so you can't really complain at that. My 6th point is more to do with, well, I guess it is to do with leveling, but also mainly endgame, and it simply is you can walk to dungeons, okay, because I play on a high populated server at the moment, and during phase 2 it was absolute hell. Now that it's a little bit better, but it's still not ideal. You can still get ganked fairly easily on the way to Blackrock Mountain, and it is very frustrating. But like, if you're on a lower populated server, if you form a group together and then go together, it's probably going to be fairly easy for you to actually get to the dungeon and actually clear the content that the game has to offer. Because obviously a lot of people don't have a massive amount of time to play a game, they just want to log in and do a dungeon quickly. and if it takes about half the time it takes to do the dungeon to actually get to the dungeon, that is restricting people from actually playing the game. So a low populated server will have less of those issues. The next point is that it's simply easier to rank up in PvP. There's going to be a lot less competition, there's going to be less people grinding honor like crazy. Particularly if you play Alliance, it's probably going to be even easier for you to actually grind your honor up. It is always going to be really hard for Horde because you have such ridiculously high queues in Battlegrounds, and you know, they actually have to go out into the world and do a little bit of world PvP while waiting for the queue, which is really frustrating. But nonetheless, it will be a lot easier for the Alliance on low populated server and even the Horde on lower populated servers to grind up their honor ranks. So I'm going to combine the last 2 points into one, since I, you know, basically added one halfway through randomly. So the last 2 points are better community and less ninja looting. So when you're on a lower populated server, because there's less, I guess, randomization on players that you group up with when you're trying to do stuff, and you start to recognize people, you start to become more familiar with people. Even guilds, there's like guild rivalries, there will be guild allegiances, you know, for taking down world bosses and stuff like that. And there are obviously going to be a lot less guilds. Like you can probably like know every single guild on your server if you play it for long enough, and you will know their progress compared to yours. So yeah, there's just like a much smaller but better community because everyone kind of knows each other, everyone's kind of acquainted with each other, not necessarily friends. Obviously it is easier to make friends on a low populated server, and you can probably make more friends, to be honest. You will just be better acquainted with people. You will know who's good, you will know who's not so good, you will know the ninja looters particularly. You cannot, it's very difficult because if you do ninja loot and you act like a bit of a, how can I say this without ruining my YouTube channel? If you act like a bit of a rogue, you act unmorally, you will basically build up a reputation for doing that, especially ninja loot. If you ninja loot anything on a low populated server, people are going to remember your name and they won't group with you ever again. You'll be on their blacklist, you'll be on their ignored list, and it'll be difficult for you to make groups, and you'll probably have to change server, you know, because you have built up such a reputation. And that's useful for people who don't ninja loot, people who play the game respectfully and morally, because there'll be a lot less people actually ninjaing your loot, and there'll be less people doing stuff like reserving orbs for Strat Live groups and reserving, to be honest, probably a lot less people reserving loot because they don't want to build a reputation. It's harder to build a reputation on a high populated server, much easier on a low populated server, which also goes two ways. Like, you can build a bad reputation quickly, but you can also build a good reputation quickly for helping out other players, or just building a reputation of being a really strong and just skillful player on your server. So that's like the last point I wanted to cover. Is, you know, you've got a better community, way easier to build a reputation, way easier to build a bad reputation, so there's going to be less roguish people on your server, just less knobheads, that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, overall, now I've concluded these points and I've made this video, I don't really see the point of actually playing on a high populated server anymore that much, to be honest. I think I do honestly prefer playing on lower populated servers. I have done in a private server community quite a bit, and I do actually quite enjoy it, to be honest. It is sometimes frustrating for it to be difficult to find, you know, a group when you're trying to get a raid going, or a pug raid, or, you know, up a Blackrock spy run or something like that, but normally it isn't too much of a struggle, and it will help you to basically make friends on the server and join a good guild, and you're pretty much laughing because, like, you can counteract you can basically gain the advantages of a high populated server on a low populated server by basically being a better member of the community, being more friendly with people, and just being intelligent and kind of crafty about how you group up with people. Because, well, I guess it's not crafty, it's just being friendly. You know, you just have to be friendly, and you pretty much solve the problem of of it being slow to make groups. End of the day, like, the world chat is quiet on a low populated server, but that's again another advantage, to be fair. But there is always guilds recruiting, there's always something going on, so you can't really complain, to be honest. But anyway, that's where I'm going to end the video there. My name is Metagoblin. Until my next video, ciao.